Hey everybody, this is Dan with Pain Free You. Today I have the pleasure of introducing Marci and AT Arneson from the Chicago area. And this is the first time I've got two people in a success story, but as they explained when we just connected, AT has been a great support to Marci as she went through her journey and felt it would be interesting to have both of them on sharing the journey. So, welcome both. I appreciate you both reaching out and volunteering to share your success with my viewers. And so, why don't you introduce yourself and take us on a journey? Tell us where you've been, what you've gone through, and where you're at now.
Thank you. Well, it's great to meet you, Dan. Thank you so much for having us on. We're really glad to be here.
My pleasure.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah, we're very excited. Dan, you've joined us unknowingly. You've joined us on many a road trip where we're listening to your YouTube channel and just your words of wisdom. So thanks for having us on.
Well, it's my pleasure.
Yeah, I can tell a little bit about my journey here. And I am a chronic pain or persistent pain survivor. That's how I like to say it. I'm going to share in our time together just kind of how I went from acute migraines to chronic debilitating migraines, and then the healing process, and kind of finally how life is today. Seems like that is the pattern we're going to look at here. And I'm really happy just to have my best friend, my husband AT, with me, as you mentioned, because as most of us know, when you're in a chronic pain situation, it doesn't just affect you. It has an effect on the whole household, whether it's your spouse, your children, your parents, siblings, roommates. And so we found that learning to navigate life with chronic pain was not something they taught in Marriage Class 101.
Not at all.
We
It
kind
does
of had,
affect a lot of marriages, trust me.
Yeah, yeah,
well, we definitely had to learn how to communicate and how to create an environment where healing could take place. And again, I'm just so appreciative and grateful for AT being here. He is a key part to my healing journey. And just recently, I saw someone asking in one of my pain kind of webinars, just were the resources for people who are helping others with chronic pain. So maybe this can be a resource for somebody. I hope it brings hope.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I wanted to just jump in. I told Mars, could I just explain? We met when we were 15 years old, Dan. So we've been together a long time. I took her to homecoming our sophomore year in high school. I was the kid with the car. So, I think it's important before we dive into some of the difficult parts of our journey that Marci, in her natural disposition, she excelled as both a high school and college athlete. Everything Marci's been a part of, she's been the leader of it. And she just has leadership characteristics. She's very vibrant socially, lots of friends. And that's how I first came to know Mars as we were teenagers and in our early married years. And so she's got a real zeal for the fullness of life. And of course, we're going to share our journey here that determination, that spirit in her never waned, even in the darkest moments. And
Right.
I think it was really, I'm really inspired by her because that grit, that character, that drive has led us to the breakthrough that we'll share about as we kind of close out our talk today. But we just celebrated 34 years of marriage. So
Wow.
it's been a long 40 years of knowing each other, 34 years of marriage. We're very integrated in this journey together. We look forward to sharing it with everybody.
Awesome. Very cool.
Yeah, so I guess I can look back when this all began. The first time I remember having a bad headache was when I was 16, and I just was like, "Oh man, this is bad." It went away. I think I took some ibuprofen or something, but I was like, "Oh, I never hope I experience that again." And then from about 23 years old to about 32, I would have migraines. I guess they call them episodic, just once in a while, maybe during my cycle, or maybe it was a stressful situation, kind of maybe an intense time with, I don't know, schoolwork or something. We had two children in our young, I think we were 23, 24 when we had 25 when we had our kids. And, so kids kind of can't, bring on more expectation or more things that you're learning to do in life. So I don't know, but definitely around 32 is when I was first diagnosed with migraine headaches. So, I'm 56 now. So we can all do that math. But for about 20 years, they became chronic. So it went from once or twice a month to about 5 a month, all the way up to I was having about 15 to 20 a month. And it was either I was in pain or if I wasn't in pain, I was just waiting for that pain to come.
Hmm.
So I kind of might use the word head pain versus migraine because for whatever reason, that just is safer for my brain to use that word. Yeah. So a little bit about my symptoms. Maybe I can share that for a second. I know migraines can show themselves in many ways, but for me, it was a very sharp pain in my eye, like maybe something was just stabbing in my eye. And it would a lot of times start like in my shoulder and kind of go up to my head. And so I got very familiar with this pattern and, kind of predicting this. And it would get to points where all I could do was lay in a dark room and cry and just rock myself, waiting for the medicine to kick in. And there'd be some very discouraging days. I remember one moment, a couple times actually just thinking it'd be okay if I didn't wake up. The pain was so bad. I didn't think I could. I don't know. It can get real bad when you have chronic pain. I think many of us understand that and very discouraging. And so the cycle was I was either in pain or I was waiting for the next one. I was kind of on guard 24/7, And so not only was there the pain, but there was this emotional turmoil around it all, right? And so if I wasn't in pain or if I kind of got through the pain, I'd wake up with this reverb of what my nervous system had just been through. And so it was a lot to kind of figure out and really didn't have a lot of answers. At 32 is when I was diagnosed with migraines, but no one seemed to have a cure. They just kind of had ideas of how to get rid of the pain, which I was really grateful for. I did have some medicines that took the pain away. And at that moment, I was just grateful to have some relief.
Sure.
But it wouldn't last long. And so it was a matter then of just managing the pain with different medicines, preventative medication, Botox. I was diligently taking notes. My doctors were like, just write down every time you have pain. So I was just taking notes in my calendar and what was going on around it. Was I having my period? Was it a stressful situation? What was all of this, now realizing I was just reinforcing it in my body and in my brain as every time I wrote that in my calendar. But I have years and years of calendars like that. And so I went to the Diamond Headache Clinic and had MRIs and had blood work done. And on one hand, I was relieved when they were like, Marci, there's nothing wrong with you. But on the other hand, it was very perplexing because how can I be in so much pain and have nothing wrong with me?
Sure.
And I wasn't just content with managing this pain. I really did trust in God that I believe he heals people, and I believe he healed people years ago, and I believe he could heal me now. I don't believe he, wants us to live in pain. And I had to figure that out. Like, what does this all look like and mean? And I'd even have people with good intentions just say, well, maybe you're just super stressed out or you're just not very faithful or, I'm like, oh my gosh, am I that stressed out? Like, and so then that led to a lot of guilt and a lot of shame. And honestly, I kept a lot of the pain to myself because, I just didn't quite know how to explain it to people. Of course, my family knew about it, my husband and my kids, and they helped as much as they knew how to. At one point I decided to let people know, I'm really going through a lot of pain and suffering, and I would start talking about it. And then it went from, I never talked about it to it became my identity. How is your migraines, Marci? How is your migraines, Marci? And it would be the first thing people would say when they saw me. And I know they meant it with good intentions and care. But again, it was interesting to just see how that only led to me kind of continuing in that pattern. So,
yeah, I think I asked Mars. I kind of walked through this with her, Dan, and I was like, "Can I jump in at this point and just kind of share in this really kind of discovery time?" It was very difficult, and but I think we were very determined from the very beginning, but we didn't know exactly what we were dealing with, and I thought maybe this would relate to some of your listeners, but the challenges we faced are probably not uncommon in this pain dilemma.
Right.
I didn't know how to read Marci's disposition when the pain came on. And, it was really hard for me in the beginning not to personalize or take personally her struggle and the way it was playing out. And of course, when you're in significant pain, suffering like this, you can become the unwitting target of their pain because you're the only person around them. And so that's really hard to interpret from my point of view. So I didn't know how to navigate what I perceived to be negativity or anger. And it wasn't directed at me. She just was kind of paring down to what she was even able to communicate. And you're doing that in the most kind of efficient way possible. It lacks a little bit of heart or a little bit of relational rapport, so to speak.
Yeah. Sure.
And so she's just not able to nuance her communication. And I'm interpreting that personally. Yeah. And so in those early years, it was like, wow, did it feel heavy around our house, heavy in our dynamic. And I just think Marci was going through a lot of discouragement and depression at that time. And in our young 30s, I wasn't quite cluing into that. I don't know if you had a thought on that.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, the discouragement. I don't know if I was depressed, but I think when, definitely would be moments of just, it's one thing to have a headache. It's another thing to have one every day or thinking about having one every day for 20 years. And that lent to just a lot of hopelessness, a lot of, will this ever end? How do I manage? I think at one point we finally just were like, okay, we'll surrender. This is our life. I just have migraines. And that was a hard thing to even just accept and say, but at least even though they weren't going away, we were like, okay, we'll accept it. This is just our life.
Yeah. So we were kind of talking about if you stub your toe and someone's standing next to you, that's not a moment to be kind and nice to each other. It's just like, this was a constant toe stubbing in one sense. And so I think I had to stay determined, but also the degree to which the struggle increased, we realized our communication in the good moments had to also increase. And so we learned early on in that interpretive kind of or misinterpretation challenge that when the wellness moment comes, we've got to increase our communication to learn how to take care of her pain, take care of our marriage, and kind of deal with all this. And so I think, sometimes I could see the temptation because I've certainly felt it. When the intensity increase, the stepping away temptation can also increase. And what we learned early on is, no, we both need to lean in or there are going to be consequences here relationally that could be very difficult to mend, especially if this journey goes on for years. That's just kind of an honest assessment of that time.
Yeah. Yeah, I was just going to say, we definitely learned that when I was feeling well, we're going to share a little bit like a toolkit at the end, some things that we found were really helpful. And one of them was when I was feeling well was the time to share what I needed. A lot of times when I was sick, he would say, what do you need? What do you need? And all I needed at that point was the pain to go away. And I didn't know how to express that. So
leave me alone.
Leave me alone.
That's true.
And there was a lot of also, AT really kind of, with the two kids when they were younger in elementary years, getting up in the morning were very difficult times for me. And so, especially if I had a bad night of sleep. And so he would take the kids. Again, that was awesome. I was so grateful he would help me with that. But there was a lot of guilt around that for me as a mom. Like, I can't take care of the kids. I'm not able to get out. And even at that point, we didn't have the communication and understanding down, I think, to the place where I felt at peace with being able to rest. I was resting, but in guilt. And so the environment was still not this safe space the way we found it to be now, if that makes sense.
For sure.
You can just share about it.
So medically, you tried all sorts of things and that was not successful, clearly.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So medically, I tried a lot of things. And everything would work for a few months. And then I'd go right back to where I was. And so I think for me, what I ended up realizing is I needed to really just, the part that we got into, looking at how to heal, maybe that's the next step. Do you want to go into that part or?
Yeah, I think so. I think life was getting lifey, I think, as you say, Dan. That's a phrase that that resonates with us. We had two young kids. We're getting our professional feet under us. We work together in our job. I had actually a cancer diagnosis in the beginning of this at 34 years old. So we've got two young 30s with young kids trying to get their life started. And boy, we got hit with some serious hurdles in this. Marci's migraines are really ramping up, and we didn't really have solutions except for prescription medication, quick pain resolution things. And I have to tell you, I'm such a problem solver, and I'm sure there's people listening that's like, we got a problem to solve here. Let's do it. And I feel very protective of her by nature. And in these years, I had no idea how to protect Marci. And it was really, really challenging. We did say to each other, we're willing to try anything. And boy, was that list long. We've been in clinics where I'm pretty sure there was a chicken coop somewhere in the corner. I mean, we've tried about everything
Right.
that we possibly knew to do. But I would often come home, Dan, with the lights off in the house, the front door locked, and thinking Marci was out at an appointment or something. But she's actually, I would find her kind of curled up on the floor, just whimpering in absolute pain, incapacitated. And what I knew, kind of back to this theme, is I knew I had to lean in. And I would curl up with her so many times, and we would just rock with each other.
Mhm.
And I would just try to say anything I could, and I'm making it up.
Right.
But I'm making it up in faith, so to speak, that telling her she's strong, we'll get through this, I'm with you. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I think I realized I didn't have the ability to have positive thoughts. I'd gotten so negative in my thinking as well.
Mhm.
So not only was no medicines, these things weren't working. So I think I just kind of got into this spiral, and I almost didn't know how to speak positively into myself and really believe it. I would say it, but not believe it. So that was one of the things we taught each other, is what I needed to hear during my pain moments. And AT was so great, where he would tell me those things so I would believe them. Like this, he would tell me I'm strong. You know, he would say it's just for right now. This is going to pass. Things like that. And
Yeah.
I think it's that compassion is something I learned in some of my pain reprocessing therapy, or just shifting how our brain works. That positive kindness to ourselves
Right.
was something I needed to figure out.
Yeah.
It was pretty bad. Like, I don't know how much more of the medicines. I think most people
No.
understand you try everything.
We don't
We
want to
can
dig
pass
into
through
the
that.
medical
Yeah.
too much.
You know,
If I can jump in real quick, I mean, AT insinuated that you would not know necessarily how to help her. And one of the things I observe is that there can be some tension between couples. And at a certain point in time, that tension builds so much because I think the partner, whether it be male or female, wants to help. We are problem solvers, we are fixers, we are trying to help our partner. But when you say, I don't know how, that can be very frustrating. And then the partner, in some cases, you leaned in, which is beautiful, but in some cases, the partner pulls away out of frustration, like, I'm trying to help my spouse. I don't know how to. They are getting frustrated with me trying. I'm failing as a partner because I can't help them. And, we see sometimes this tension builds, and sometimes the relationships break. So I'll
mhm,
first commend you for leaning in as opposed
mhm.
to, the probable desire you had at some point to go, I got to get out of here and, and,
Yeah.
and disappear. Like, I
Right.
can't help you, don't know what to do. I'm frustrated, you're frustrated, we're just banging heads. And so, did you experience some of that emotional turmoil throughout this journey?
Oh, yeah. Oh, for sure. I interpreted Marci's pain often as anger toward me.
Yeah.
And again, I realized I can't fix this in the way that it eliminates it. And that, but what I can be is I can be her voice of safety and strength.
Mhm.
And once I realized my role, Dan, that's where I kind of settled into that role. I was kind of her hype man. That's a little bit, but yeah,
We
let's
can
go,
do it.
Marv. We got this. You're in the last lap of that 800-meter again. Like you're drawing on a life together.
Yeah.
that now we're going to invest even though the circumstances are difficult. And once I decided that, then I wasn't fixing a problem. I was loving my wife. And
Beautiful.
that's different. And, I've sat outside a closed bedroom door praying on the floor while I hear her crying out in the room separate from me. I've put my body weight on her to create some sense of security in the throes of immense pain. I've placed that head in my hands and tried to counter the internal pressure with external pressure to solve. These are No one on earth is going, that's what you do.
No.
But that's what leaning in looked like for me. And once I got past my own overly personalized approach, I realized I could have compassion here. And that was a big shift for our household, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah. There was a lot of frustration. I definitely felt he was resentful at times. Not that he expressed it, but you just feel it, right? And we worked through that, and I wasn't getting better, but I was like, how do we figure this out so at least we're not hurting each other in the midst of already what I'm hurting, you know what I mean? And I had to learn how to actually, I remember one time he's like, can you just be a little kinder when you're in pain?
And you're
I
like,
was like,
no.
what? Like, who says that? But it's kind of what I needed to hear, because I think I had just gotten used to just, oh, here it goes. And I just went down this place, and it kind of shifted my brain to think, you can still be nice when you're in pain, Marci. What a concept.
Yeah.
And
But
so,
it's so tough when you're in it.
yeah, it's tough. And so, and it's not like I was, I don't know what everyone can think that looks like, but I just had to kind of shift that inner person in me, a little bit. And that was important. Where are we at?
Yeah.
Our thoughts.
Yeah.
Do you want me to keep? Oh, sorry.
Yeah. I don't want to, I didn't want to interrupt you, but
Yeah,
I
no.
just think this pattern, it's hard to describe. And I know a lot of your listeners understand this, Dan. I know you understand it very, very well, but it's very disruptive to your life. And it's just you do live with a certain, like, oh no, again, oh no, kind of thing. But what you begin to realize is, whoa, this has to change, or you're never going to get out of this perspective. And I do think it's really funny. I can actually remember shifting from, this is frustrating and disruptive, to, come here. I know, giving the hug, the compassion outcome of our dynamic. So, I think we've made some really important decisions in these kind of discovery years of what this journey was going to be like. So,
yeah. And I was thinking too, not everybody might have that person. And there were many years we didn't know how to express that to each other.
Yeah.
But one thing, no matter what, we all have ourselves. We all can speak kindness and compassion to ourselves, which I had not really learned how to do that. I was pretty hard on myself and pretty critical. So I remember actually Dr. Schubiner talks about in Unlearn Your Pain, just being kind. You share a lot about that, Dan, and you're talking. Be kind to yourself. Be compassionate. It's okay. And those words really were healing my migraines. Just as I actually started shifting that internal perspective. And so
I do have a question. You did earlier say that you found a point of surrender. What did that surrender do for you from a mindset and or even a symptom standpoint?
Yeah. Well, this is an interesting story. I had so much fear around my pain. And I remember hearing back in 2022 this idea of letting go of the fear around your pain. And I'll get into this a little bit more as we share, as I ended up finding you, Dan, and others that talked about letting go of the fear. And I was like, how do you do that? There's no way. There's no way I can let go of the fear. It's so intense.
Right.
And, I had always had this pattern. If I had pain, I'm going to take my medicine. I'm going to go to bed, try to let it go away. And one day, it was a Sunday morning and I was in such pain. AT, you went off to church. You're on the way to church. And I said, I'm going to try this. So I sat in my living room, had really bad pain. And I said, okay, Marci, let's just not be afraid of the pain right now and see what happens. And there's something Alan Gordon, I think, I'm sure you've heard of, called somatic tracking, right? And so I sat there in my living room with this really bad pain in my eye. And I just looked at it and thought about it and just said, okay, I'm not afraid. And I remember I texted AT, I said, I'm in bad pain, but I'm not afraid. And I think we both got emotional. We're like,
I was sitting in a group of people at a church service.
Yeah.
I just started crying.
Yeah, we're just
I
like,
was like, that's the most inspiring thing I've ever heard in my life.
I'm not afraid. And Dan, I sat there, and after about a minute, just kind of watching it, I couldn't find the pain. Like, it was gone. And I remember kind of looking in my head. Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Holy crap.
Like it kind of freaked me out. Like, where'd it go? And yeah, I don't know if it's a little beginning glimpse. It just gave me a glimpse. I had so much hope with that. I was like, are you kidding? So later on, the headache came back. I had to take my medicine and all that. But there was this moment that I was like, there's something to this.
Yeah.
This might actually just work. It's so crazy. It just might work. And yeah, so that's kind of was the beginning of me understanding I could unlearn something that I had learned, that this wasn't something wrong with me. And that was a really key moment in my healing.
I was thinking, I don't know if you can I jump in here, Dan?
Please, this is an open forum. We're just having a conversation, so please.
No, it's fun now to recount some of this and just process it, even kind of preparing for this. But that moment, I was literally like, Marci has a superhero cape on right now. To have gone through 10 years of the kinds of things, the cradling each other, the darkened screaming out in the room, to I am not afraid. I was like, what? Someone needs to make a movie about this. And I know a lot of the victories that you hear are related to a moment like that. I think that created a resolve in us, honestly, where we kind of walked out of this era and we were like, number one, we'll do whatever it takes to find this path to wellness. That was kind of a resolve in that moment. I think the second thing was, no matter what, we're going to do this together. It's no longer you have this and I'm over here. No, it's we, us, our. We really kind of codified that mentality. And then the other thing we thought is our home will be the place of healing. Like the way you view your home and what you create here and the meals you cook and the feel of our home. We just resolve in this era, this is how we're going to approach this. No matter what it takes, do it together. Our home will be a place of peace.
Yeah. Yeah. It was intention. It didn't just happen, right? Like, and I don't think I actually just got chronically ill intentionally. I think it just kind of happened, and I wasn't going to get chronically out of it unless I had to shift something. I don't know if I said that quite right, but I had to shift something and be intentional to get out of it. Yeah. And that's kind of what we decided, like, okay, how do we go about healing? You're really having a healing, not just feeling better for a day, but really where they're not a part of they just don't have to be a part of, our life, my life. I say our because it's kind of our.
It's our.
It's our life.
Our, we, us.
So I can go to a little bit for a second. Just, it was at that moment too, realizing I had to let go of this identity, because my whole identity was this pain. It's what I knew for so many years. I have this magazine cover I was on the front of. This is a medical, like a journal in the Chicago healthcare system, that because I was doing so many treatments for my head, like it was like, you're the migraine person, and my neurologist, asked me to, do this, which I'm grateful for the people that tried to help me along the way, but it just reminds me of where I was, Yep.
You don't want to be the face of migraines.
In
the
never,
Chicago area or anywhere.
That wasn't like my goal.
But you were. It was like, oh, look, it's the migraine lady. Anybody ever
migraine woman? There she
the
is.
Magazine?
It's crazy, actually.
I was a back pain guy at work, in my family, in my neighborhood. Hey, Dan,
right?
how's your back? It became that.
Wow. Isn't that interesting?
I get it. Yeah.
Get it.
Very common.
And so how did then I go from that to being, who am I without that? Who am I without that? Was like, who am I without that? How do I go through my day? And so that was something I had to learn too. And part of it was just waking up and living life and not thinking about it. And I had to start shifting what I talked about. We had to start shifting how we thought about, we still had to take care of making sure we're taking care of everything, but not, it wasn't our focus. And I went from people asking, how are you, to me going into this deep dive of how I was, to just saying, I'm doing okay. How are you? And it just started shifting little by little the intensity I was putting on it. And part of that's from some of the things I've listened to you share about, a lot of what you've shared has really helped me, Dan, and just how to think about pain. We started really discovering a lot of resources. And that was, I think, something along my journey was, as AT had mentioned, I was always wanting to learn and figure it out. I was not going to be content with being in pain for the rest of my life. And so I just continued to seek and seek. I remember reading this Dr. Alex Lloyd had some healing codes back in 2014. It was on how to kind of heal with prayer, and Bruce Lipton talked about biology of belief and just how your thoughts, and Margaret Paul with inner bonding, and Carolyn Leaf with neuroplasticity and how the brain works, like all of these things. But nothing was shifting yet, but I was learning stuff. I remember in 2022, I told AT, I said, I don't think I can keep going on. And so I was either going to have to quit my job, or I didn't know what we were going to do. And my job gave me about 5 weeks to just take a break and try to figure out what was going on. And I asked some people to pray for me. And that next day I found it was called PRT concept that came out. And I was like, PRT, what's this? And it's pain reprocessing therapy. And from that, it led me to a woman named Jen Johnson. And Jen Johnson is a chronic pain coach. And then I saw Dan Buglio on Jen Johnson. And then I started watching Dan Buglio.
Hi.
Yay.
Yes.
And there he is.
Small world.
The very Dan Buglio. I looked up books like on How to Unlearn Your Pain with Dr. Howard Schubiner. And I remember at one point, Dan, sitting there, and I remember just feeling such hope, realizing I have mind-body syndrome. That's what's going on with me. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden, I literally laughed out loud. I was just like, this can be cured. I can heal. I had so much hope. And I told AT, he's like, great, let's try that. I mean, we had tried everything at that point,
Like, I don't believe it, but let's go.
I'm in, let's go.
I'm like, there's this thing called mind-body syndrome. And, we knew with all of that, these people, there were components of all of that was going to lead to something good. And, I just wanted to add, because I think this might be helpful for people with migraines. It was a bit confusing in the beginning for me, because I learned that the brain produces pain, and having pain in your head was confusing. I'm like, oh, that means my brain is injured. That's why it hurts. Because you know what I'm saying? And so I kind of had to understand that, oh no, the pain is, the brain is producing a danger signal, and that's what was producing the pain. And I happened to send it to my brain. And my mom suffered with migraines, to my head. My sister suffered with migraines, my grandma. So I think I had learned, some people say, well, it would be genetic, but I'm like, but there's nothing wrong with me. And so I've heard from, I think it was Bruce Lipton, this epigenetic, this environment that you can learn pain symptoms. And I think I had learned, and my brain had danger signals, and it knew that it could send it to my head to get my attention. And that's kind of how I started. This is my own thought process, how I started kind of continuing in my brain, sending me that brain's pain signal and me turning it into this incredible pain in the head. But now I realize that my head is fine, and it was just a false danger signal, and that I had to turn that danger signal down, and I had to come to learn how to help my brain feel safe.
Right.
Which is so much of what, you talk about.
Yeah.
And we did develop a toolkit that maybe we can share here.
If I could jump in for 1 second.
Yep.
Yeah. One thing I wanted to say is I'm kind of the recipient. I'm the recipient of the benefit of all this research and listening to your podcast. I would never have probably entered this world without this journey with Marci. And I've read all of this. I listened to all the podcasts. that starting with the healing codes all the way up to this very moment, Dan. And I'm telling you,
Appreciate that.
I'm not a chronic pain sufferer, but when it comes to stress management in life and other things, it's crazy the positive outcome just from knowing these things and framing them in this kind of whole mind body
That's awesome.
PRT kind of world. And I just am so supportive. And so from a stress standpoint or a chronic pain standpoint, all of these come together in just this beautiful picture of how to navigate a wellness path in life.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
there's so many life lessons in this.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So that's what you're just recognizing. That's awesome.
totally. Totally. Yeah, Mars, we kind of put together a little, like we call it our little toolkit. I don't know if it'd be helpful to walk through a couple of those ideas that maybe
Sure.
we can
I'm
highlight a
open
few of
to
those.
it by all means.
Yeah,
Is this like a document or is this just some concepts that you want to bullet point through?
just bullet point through, just kind of talk a little bit about them. Again, some of these are a little bit repetitive or redundant,
They're
but
just some practical things that we kind of were like, this seemed to help us.
yeah, one is, I think you said this.
That I don't have to be sick or unwell to rest. That was one of the things we realized, that I don't have to be sick. I used to think only if I was sick or only if I was in pain would people allow me to rest. Or like, why do you have to rest if you feel good? And that really was helpful in the household.
Yeah, it's kind of a pace of life practical, like, because what can happen is the learned behavior or the brain can go, oh, you'll never stop unless you have pain. and that's how life can kind of take over. And we learn, no, we need to have a pace of life that's responsible, but it's also healthy.
Yeah. And then I also learned to communicate during my well times instead of during my flare-up times or instead of in pain. Just here's what would be helpful. Here's what I need when I'm not feeling well. Here's how you can, be okay when I say this or do this. Here's what I mean, and I did that a lot of times. It's like, I think I said earlier, it's common to when I ask people when they're not feeling well, what do you need? But when you're not feeling well, it's hard to express that. So I would really try to make an effort just to do that when I was feeling well.
This may be a little bit of a dad joke analogy, but you got to know when to hold them and when to fold them. That's what Kenny Rogers said, right? So I think in the communication sense, I know when to hold them, when to put them down. I've learned that we go on lots of walks, and if Marcy comes through a pain moment or a recurrence, we're going to go and we're going to process that together, and we're going to talk through, okay, how do we tweak? What did we kind of keep that house a place of peace? How do we navigate this?
Yeah, and we just changed our language around the catastrophizing. We just eliminated that, or the heightened fear. And so instead of saying, oh, I have to take my medicine and seeing that as a failure, if I did have a flare up here and there, I would just say, oh, I need an assist. And that just seemed to be like, oh, I just need an assist today. It's okay.
Small tweak, but it really makes the difference.
I used to look at taking my medicine was like, oh,
failure.
Instead of just saying, oh, I hope this goes away, we would say, oh, it's going to go away in a bit. I'm just having a moment. Just kind of shifting. Language was huge, right?
We typically. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was saying language matters so much.
It does. We actually, Marcy will go, hey, I'm having a little bit of a sensation. Mm-hmm. So instead of I'm having a migraine or I'm in pain, it's kind of making it smaller in our language. And again, we don't want to catastrophize the whole thing.
For sure.
I think we also changed our projection of what might happen in the future. One recurrence doesn't mean we're back to square one. Mm-hmm. It can feel that way, though.
Yeah, that's an easy conclusion to draw, but it would be incorrect.
Yeah.
A recurrence is an opportunity to teach again that you're okay. Because if you panic, it will persist. But if you can respond with clarity and calmness and say, well, we beat it before, we'll be okay. That's another opportunity to not just tell your brain, but show your brain, I'm actually okay. And recurrences will become less frequent and less intense the more calm you respond to each one of them. Oh, I know what that is. We don't have to get all up in arms about it. I know what it is. Let's move on with our day.
Yeah. That's
So
it.
good.
But if you panic, it can cycle and
Oh
start
yeah.
again.
Yep.
And I would see that. And again, it was just relearning how to think about it. So I appreciate that reminder. And yeah, so really, I'm at a place now in my life where I'm not on any medication. I know, right? Like who would have thought? And I never thought I could actually do this type of a talk because if I did it, it would always just put me out for a day or two. Like if I felt like even the words we're saying and to feel great, to be at peace, to feel safe
Love
and
it.
do that is really amazing. It's really, I feel like I have my life back,
You
you
do.
know?
And I heard your voice crack a little bit, so it's
Yeah.
okay to get emotional. This is
Yeah.
20 years of hardship,
Yeah.
and you've not only seen the light, but you've come into the light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah.
You realize there is life after chronic symptoms,
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
and you're proof of it.
Yeah.
Even putting some thoughts down, Marcy's like, I don't know why I'm crying. I mean, so because we're so appreciative of
Yeah.
all the investment of folks like yourself, others out there who are really paving the way for people like us to pick up
Yeah.
on that trail.
Yeah.
I think a lot of this has given us permission to put honor and not shame around living a very healthy life. We put a sauna in our house. Marci does cold plunges. Like we're like, hey, let's explore other ways of being healthy because health kind of begets health, if you will. And you start to like. She's always dragging me up to the gym now. Let's get our muscles strong. We're in our 50s. We can't be. So we're thinking about our 75-year-old selves in our mid 50s now going, let's take care of that version of us. And when you start thinking that way, it starts to change the way you live in very positive ways. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I think we're kind of in the breakthrough
Yeah.
kind of conclusion of our,
yeah.
I don't know. Yeah.
Well, we're definitely breakthrough. I mean, I think taking the time to actually, understand, get accurate knowledge. You talk about accurate knowledge and information. And, I've had a lot of information, but I don't think I had the accurate knowledge, And so I also didn't know quite how to apply it. I knew there was something to it. So I would just encourage people to keep at it till it makes sense. It will make sense because I do believe our brains and our bodies are super smart and want to work with us.
Mhm.
So I just had to kind of keep going at it till it made sense. And, you know, definitely part of my day to day now is just waking up and knowing I'm going to create a safe, my brain environment for my brain. I'll even tell my brain, it's a great day today. It sounds kind of funny
Makes a
saying that,
difference.
but
No, I recommend that all the time. How much fun can I have today is much
mm,
better than waking up going, how bad is my pain going to be today?
Yeah.
It's
and
Yeah.
I used to have those
it's
days.
setting an intention for the day.
That's it.
I
It
love that. And
matters. It really
it
matters.
just reminds me,
I said it really matters.
it really matters. It reminds me of the days I'd wake up and just dreading getting out of bed, to now waking up and just like, it's gonna be a great day. Let's go. There's a lot in between. It didn't happen overnight, but it didn't take as long as it took I wasn't sick as long as it took for me to get well, if that makes sense. And so life today, I don't know, did you want to share something on that?
Well, the only thing I wanted to say, and this will be kind of my concluding thoughts, is I'm sitting next to the strongest human I've ever met. And, I think sometimes when and probably for a lot of folks, when you're going through chronic pain, you start to view yourself as weak or debilitated or something like that or compromised. And I am not kidding you. I am watching this person that I adore and love scratch and crawl and climb, and I will get through. We will find a path. And here we are. I mean,
Yeah.
and so I'm just so proud to have been on this journey with her, to sit on that front row seat, to have been invited in. I think Marci's really good at pulling me into the equation, not pushing me away these days. And that's been really, really healthy for us.
So good. Yeah. Yeah. I think just kind of in closing for me, just now I'm trying to just live well.
Yeah.
We talk about get well,
Be
be
well,
well, and stay
stay
well.
well.
And
Yeah.
so I'm hoping to be in the stay well zone. And part of that, I remember a friend of mine was like, "Why do you keep doing all that stuff if you're fine now? If your migraines are gone, why are you keep doing what you did?" And I was like, "No, this is my new life, if that makes sense. Like I'm going to live well now." And that's what I do. It's waking up, like I said, with a different mindset. It's continuing to communicate. It's uh, we listen to your podcast probably daily, when I work out, or just that encouragement, that continuing reiteration of how our brains can be healthy and rewiring them to heal. And then just I have two adult children, and um, they don't have migraines, which I'm super grateful for. They have just watched me over the years and have also been, a great part of my healing, just because they just care for me, and I think,
Yeah.
it's not like
Team Marci.
yeah. And so I just think for me, it was being okay with letting people help me too. I needed to kind of let go and let people help me. And at the end of it, just continuing now to continue to stay in this mindset of being well and living well.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
And staying well.
and staying well.
Let's do it.
Um,
So when you said your friend questioned, why are you doing all these things if you don't have migraines? Are you
mhm.
talking about just the general wellness, like going to the gym, the cold plunges, the sauna, or are there other mind-body practices that you continue to do as
Yeah,
more of a daily routine or a regular routine?
yeah, no, that's a great question. It's kind of it's both, but definitely I was doing the mind body, like the continuing, just taking time to I didn't do it as what do I say? It's not every single day that I spend time reading about it, but I don't want to get away from reminding myself how to stay well and be safe in my brain. And so it would be reading things, it would be watching podcasts like we've talked about. It would be just taking time to be still and let myself think and feel versus just going fast kind of pace or a faster pace. Yeah, so it was definitely doing the healthy things like we were saying sauna, cold plunge, but also kind of some mind body techniques, even somatic tracking. I was on a run the other day and I was feeling some pain and I just said, it's okay. So it's like just learning to like kind of, talk to myself, like, it's okay. What are you feeling? What's going on? Sometimes I'll realize I was thinking about something really intense when the
Mhm.
pain sits in. And I'm like, what was I just thinking about?
Yeah.
And then I have to kind of just remind myself, okay, why don't we put that away? You don't need to be thinking
Mhm.
about that intense thing you just saw or read about or whatever.
Sure.
So kind of managing what I allow to come in too.
Okay, so
Um,
general life practices that seem to be good, whether you're trying to recover from or avoid getting back into a chronic
mhm.
situation. It just seems like these are good ways to go through life,
Oh yeah.
you know?
Yeah, yeah. And they're not as common as I would think. And so it's a little bit against the normal flow of life. And so it does take intention.
That's wonderful.
Yeah. So that's kind of our story.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I don't know, do you have any other things that would be helpful to share, or is there anything else that,
No, I think I've jumped in with some questions along the way, and
Yeah.
okay,
you
yeah.
both did a great job of sharing both sides of the journey, right?
Mhm.
Because, like I said before we started recording, I haven't had a couple come in and say, we're going to share both sides of the journey.
Yeah.
Usually just the one person who had the pain or symptoms that comes in and says, this is what I went through. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
sometimes they'll say, oh, and I had a supportive spouse or partner. Uh, in
Sure.
some cases, not. But yeah, this has been neat. And I think the audience is going to really love hearing both sides of it.
I
And
hope
I
so.
do believe that for the person who would like their partner to be more supportive,
Mhm.
you've just given some great examples. Sometimes don't fix me, don't do anything, don't talk to me, just hold me. And I've coached people that way. I
Yeah.
said,
Mm,
look, if your spouse is frustrated because they don't know what to do for you, just
mm,
tell them, look, I don't need you to fix me or
mm,
even say anything. Just sit next to me and hold me.
Yeah.
mhm,
And you proved that because that was your story. That's
mhm.
what you did when the crisis was on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I imagine, even though it didn't necessarily turn off your headaches,
Mhm.
it felt comforting to know that AT was there for you.
Absolutely. Oh, it took down that danger signal big time.
Yeah.
And all of those little things, it can seem little, but it adds up.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so,
You guys have definitely demonstrated what being a supportive partner looks like or can
mhm,
look like. Now,
mhm,
everybody's different.
mhm,
Everybody has different desires, needs. Some people literally are saying, I'm hurting, leave me alone,
mhm,
which may have happened at a certain point, which is why it's easy as the partner to take it personally.
Yeah.
mhm.
Like, why are you mad at me? What did I do? I'm just
Right.
trying to help, and I don't know how to. And it gets really frustrating. So I really love the fact that we now
Mhm,
have a couple success story that shows both sides of it. And I think you've both done a great job of expressing
mhm.
um, a really solid, healthy way to navigate together as opposed to banging heads and I'm sure there was some of that, but you found your way, and I think that's a great example for anybody watching.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, you can work through it together for sure. You don't have to do it alone. And there were definitely times I'd say, leave me alone, but I didn't really mean it. I just didn't know how to express anything else. And so sometimes it's just reaching in, even in that storm, you know. So yeah.
With a little bit of a shaky hand.
Yeah. So I so appreciate AT just reaching in. He ran into the storm, you know.
Yeah, and
So
I'm sure AT there was a good bit of walking on eggshells.
Oh yeah.
Like, don't say the wrong thing, don't do the wrong thing. And so just honoring that because that's a part of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
No, thanks for understanding that. And we do want to just say thanks to you, Dan. We actually thank Dan because it's like
Mhm.
that your work, it's it's really helpful. We've really appreciated your words of wisdom.
Yeah,
The spirit with which you bring it is in the tone is just wonderful. Thank you.
absolutely. Thank you so much. I've shared it a lot with my
Absolutely.
friends and others suffering. So
Yeah, absolutely. My privilege, my pleasure. I'm always thrilled to hear that, not only do people make it through this journey, that somehow I was a part of it. So I'm very
Yeah.
blessed to be able to be a part of that. So thank you.
Awesome.
mhm.
Unless you got anything else, we'll wrap this one up. And if you
Thank you.
folks ever need anything, you know where to find me.
Yeah. Thanks so much, Dan.
Yeah,
All right,
thanks,
everybody.
Dan.
So long,
All right.
everybody. Take
Yeah.
care.
Bye bye.